There are 5 cloudy little pebbles that show up in the same gravel where diamonds come to rest, and almost nobody knows their names. Find them, and you have learned something enormous, because the ground that gathers those 5 is exactly the ground that gathers diamonds. And there is a cruel joke buried in that fact, since those same 5 pebbles are the ones that fool hopeful people every single day. They look so much like a rough diamond that entire fortunes have been lost over them, and I mean that in the most literal way possible. So how would an ordinary person tell the difference, standing in a creek with a wet pebble sitting in the palm of their hand? That is the whole question, and by the end of this video, you will be able to answer it with tests that cost you almost nothing. That is exactly how a diamond can sit in a bucket of washed gravel for years while people pick through it and see nothing at all. Some of these pebbles copy a diamond so well that they have fooled experienced buyers with money on the table and reputations at stake. So stay close with me, because you are about to learn to see the one stone in that gravel that everybody else keeps throwing away. So to start off right, you need to know why diamonds and these 5 pebbles keep ending up together in the very same gravel. When a river carries broken rock downhill, it acts like a giant sorting machine, and it separates everything by weight and toughness. The soft minerals get ground into mud and wash away, and only the hardest and heaviest survivors ever reach the bottom of a gravel bar. A diamond is the toughest survivor of them all, so it settles into the same pockets where those other stubborn stones pile up. So finding these pebbles means the river is doing its job correctly, and it means you are digging in a place that concentrates treasure. Think of the gravel bar as a trap that nature built for you, quietly collecting the toughest survivors over thousands of years. Look for the inside of river bends, the pockets behind big boulders, and the cracks in bedrock where heavy things get trapped. That is exactly where a diamond finally stops moving, and it is also where those 5 impostors gather in a crowd all around it. Now, before you can ever beat those impostors, you need to know what the real thing actually looks like sitting in your hand. A rough diamond almost never sparkles, and anyone waiting for a flash of fire in a creek bed will walk right past a real one. It wears a soft, greasy shine of its own, and honestly, it looks a great deal more like a drop of oil than like polished glass. Most rough diamonds are pale yellow or brown or a smoky gray-white, and the icy, colorless stone from a jewelry store is genuinely rare. The shape is your greatest clue of all, since a diamond grows as 8 triangular faces meeting in a shape like 2 pyramids joined at the base. That 8-sided shape is called an octahedron, and it is roughly as wide as it is tall, sitting in your palm like a tiny die. The faces usually look a little rounded and soft along their edges, since heat and chemistry gently wore them down on the ride upward. Look very closely at those faces with a cheap loupe, because a diamond often wears tiny triangular pits etched into its surface. Those pits are called trigons, and they are growth marks from the deep earth, and almost nothing else on this planet has them. Finding a trigon is honestly one of the great thrills of this hobby, since you are looking at a mark made 100 miles underground. Then there is the strangest test of all, since diamonds actually hate water and love oil, which sounds absurd until you see it. Mud and rainwater slide right off a diamond and refuse to cling, so a suspiciously clean stone in a field of wet mud is a real signal. Old prospectors used that very trick with a table of sticky grease, letting the diamonds cling while the wet gravel slid straight past. And of course, there is hardness, since a diamond sits at 10 on the scale and nothing else in that creek can leave a mark on it. So a diamond will scratch every single one of the 5 pebbles we are about to meet, and not one of them can ever scratch it back. Please be gentle with that test though, because a diamond can still chip along its natural planes despite all of that hardness. Now, let us meet the first cloudy pebble, and it is the one responsible for more false alarms than every other stone combined. That pebble is quartz, the most common mineral you will ever pick up, and it turns up as a cloudy, glassy lump in nearly every creek. It can be milky white, or smoky gray, or perfectly clear, and a water-worn chunk of it looks tantalizingly like a rough diamond. The first clue that kills it is weight. since quartz is noticeably light while a diamond feels dense for its modest little size. Hold a quartz pebble in one hand and a diamond of the same size in the other, and the diamond will feel almost half again as heavy. The second clue is the shine, since quartz has a watery, glassy look, while a diamond carries that unmistakable greasy oiliness. The third clue is the shape, since quartz almost always grows as a long six-sided column with a single pointed tip on one end. So, a six-sided pointed crystal is quartz, while an eight-sided crystal that is about as wide as it is tall could be your diamond. And now the beautiful test I promised you, which needs nothing more than a spoonful of plain cooking oil from your kitchen. Light bends far more strongly inside a diamond than inside quartz, and that bending is the very reason a cut diamond throws fire. Drop your pebble into that oil and watch carefully, because quartz almost vanishes while the diamond stays sharp and obvious. Quartz nearly disappears because it bends light at almost the same rate the oil does, so its edges simply melt away in there. A diamond bends light so much harder that it stays perfectly visible in there, sitting in the oil like a bright little ghost. That single 10-second trick will save you from the most common mistake in this entire hobby, and it costs you nothing at all. It works on ordinary glass too, since a chip of bottle glass will fade in that oil almost exactly the way the quartz does. Now for the second imposter, and this one is soft and gentle and gives itself away faster than any other stone on our list. That pebble is calcite, a common mineral that shows up as a cloudy white or honey-colored lump in gravel all over the country. Calcite can grow into a blocky shape that genuinely fools people, and its soft, cloudy glow makes it look absolutely full of promise. But calcite is one of the softest minerals in your gravel, so a steel knife will carve into it as easily as into a bar of soap. A diamond laughs at steel and shrugs off almost everything, so that one simple scratch ends the whole argument in about 2 seconds. Calcite also breaks into little slanted boxes, splitting along flat faces into shapes like a squashed cube every single time. And here is the fun one, since calcite fizzes when it meets acid, and ordinary kitchen vinegar is more than acidic enough. Put a drop of vinegar on a calcite pebble and watch it bubble quietly, and no diamond on earth will ever do that for you. So a soft and bubbling box-shaped pebble is calcite, and you can set it down and keep on searching without a second thought. Now for the third cloudy pebble, and this is the one that has fooled professionals, and I mean that in the most serious way. That pebble is topaz, and it earns real respect here because it copies a diamond better than anything else in the natural world. Topaz turns up as a colorless or pale straw-colored lump, and its shine is slightly greasy, which is exactly the diamond look. But here is the truly astonishing part. Since topaz weighs almost precisely the same as a diamond does for the very same size, so the weight test that destroys quartz is completely useless here. And that single fact has cost people enormous sums of money. A gemological laboratory in Israel once received a parcel of more than 300 carats, imported as genuine rough diamond. The buyer was completely certain, since those stones had the right shape and the right frosted skin and even the right weight. Every last stone in that entire parcel turned out to be common topaz, and the buyer had paid diamond money for a box of it. The triangles had been carved onto the surfaces on purpose, which tells you how seriously people take this particular imposter. So, if a stranger ever offers you cheap rough diamonds, remember that parcel, and remember that even experts get fooled by topaz. So how do you ever beat it, when the weight and the shine and even the little triangles can all lie straight to your face? You beat it with shape and with cleavage, since topaz grows as a long crystal with grooves running down the length of its sides. A diamond is never long and it is never grooved, and it always stays roughly as wide as it is tall in that eight-sided form. Then there is the cleavage, since topaz splits along one flat plane straight across the crystal, leaving a face as smooth as a mirror. So a single flat mirror face on a broken end is your answer, because a rough diamond simply never breaks in that particular way. And hardness settles it, since a diamond will scratch topaz easily, while the topaz will never leave a mark on the diamond. Now for the fourth pebble, and this one is a genuine gemstone in its own right, and it really does travel alongside diamonds. That pebble is zircon, and it forms in the deep earth and rides upward in the same eruptions, so it shares the same gravel. Zircon has a brilliant shine that comes closer to a diamond than almost anything, and it even throws off little flashes of fire. But zircon is remarkably heavy, and it feels noticeably heavier than a diamond of exactly the same size sitting right beside it. So a stone that feels almost too heavy for its size is zircon, and that heft is one of the easiest clues in this whole video. Zircon also grows as a stubby four-sided prism with pointed ends, which looks nothing like a rounded eight-sided diamond. Zircon is a lovely stone in its own right though, and geologists treasure it because a single grain can be billions of years old. And zircon is far softer than it looks, so a diamond scratches it without any effort, while zircon can never touch a diamond at all. Corundum is also heavier than a diamond is, and its shine stays bright and glassy like a clean window catching the afternoon sun. And the final word belongs to hardness, since a diamond scratches corundum, while corundum can never scratch a diamond back. So the whole hunt really comes down to a small handful of cheap tools that fit easily inside a little pouch in your pocket. You screen your gravel from the inside of river bends, and you study the heavy leftovers that ride in the center of the screen. Searching right after a rain helps enormously, since the dust washes away, and every stone shows you its honest color and shine. You look for the greasy shine and the eight-sided shape, along with the water that refuses to cling to the surface of the stone. Before we wrap up, there is one more stone worth knowing about, because it rides up from the deep earth alongside the diamonds themselves. That stone is Peridot, and it appears as small grains in a warm olive green that almost seem to glow when the sun catches them. Peridot comes from the mantle, from the very same violent eruptions that carried diamonds toward the surface of our planet. So finding green grains in your gravel is a wonderful sign, since it whispers that deep rock is somewhere upstream from you. It is one of the few gems that appears in only one color, and that fresh green comes from iron sitting inside the crystal. Peridot is soft enough that a diamond scratches it easily, and it is the only green stone that could ever join this crowd. Look for grains with a warm olive tone and a glassy shine, since a true Peridot green is unlike almost anything else in the gravel. So the very same gravel that hides the hardest stone on Earth quietly offers you a green gemstone as a lovely consolation prize. That is the beautiful thing about learning to read pebbles, since every cloudy lump becomes a puzzle with more than one answer. If you want to go deeper into all of this, I built something for the people who are serious about identifying what they find. I run a members area here on the channel, made for anyone who wants that confidence when a strange stone lands in their hand. Inside it, each month I take one gemstone and break it all the way down, from how it forms to how you can test it at home. You get the field tests and the impostors and the honest values, all explained in plain language without any confusing science. If you want that kind of edge, just tap the join button on your screen and come be part of this growing community of gem hunters. But if right now is simply not the time for that, there is honestly no problem at all, because you can keep learning here for free. Just subscribe to the channel, leave a like if this helped you out, and watch the next video that is already waiting on your screen. In it, I show you even more hidden treasure that might be resting quietly in the ground, much closer to your home than you would guess. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Good luck, Gem Hunter.